Ever wondered how to cook the traditional Moroccan Besetila? Well, you're in for a treat. Hailing from the heart of Morocco, Besetila is a dish that's rich in flavor, steeped in tradition, and loved by many. It's a culinary masterpiece that combines succulent chicken, crispy pastry, and a delightful mix of spices. Today, we're going to give you a brief overview of the ingredients needed to make this Moroccan classic. So buckle up your taste buds, folks. Get ready to embark on a culinary journey to Morocco with this classic dish. First things first, gather your ingredients. For our traditional Moroccan Besetila, we'll need a collection of rich and flavorful ingredients that come together to create this delightful dish. Let's start with the star of the show, the chicken. You'll need one whole chicken, which will simmer until it's tender and easy to shred. Next up is the phyllo pastry, the light, flaky casing that holds our filling. It's delicate and requires a gentle touch, but it's well worth the effort. Now let's talk about what goes inside the pastry. We'll need 4 eggs, which will be whisked and cooked to create a creamy scramble. Then we have 2 medium onions, finely chopped, and a bunch of fresh parsley, also finely chopped. These will add a beautiful depth of flavor to our filling. For a crunchy contrast, we'll need a cup of blanched almonds. We'll toast these until golden and fragrant, then grind them into coarse crumbs. Sprinkle in a handful of sugar and a generous dusting of cinnamon. These add a hint of sweetness and warmth that beautifully complements the savory elements. Finally, we have the secret ingredient, a pinch of saffron. This golden spice gives our Besetila its distinctive taste and color. It's a bit luxurious, but a little goes a long way. Now that we have everything ready, let's move on to the cooking process. The first step involves preparing and cooking the chicken. Now don't let this intimidate you. It's really quite simple, and the key is in the details. To start, we're going to clean the chicken. This is an important step to ensure we're working with a clean, fresh protein. Rinse the chicken under cold running water, inside and out. Then pat it dry with a clean kitchen towel. Simple, right? Next, let's move on to the cooking process. Place the chicken in a large pot and fill it with enough water to cover the chicken. Now it's time to introduce some flavors. We'll add a concoction of aromatic Moroccan spices. Think cumin, ginger, turmeric, and saffron. Don't forget the salt and pepper. These spices will infuse the chicken with a depth of flavor that is truly the heart of Besetila. While the chicken is simmering, let's get started on the onions. Sautéing onions until they're caramelized is not just a step, it's an art. The onions should sizzle in the pan, turning a rich caramel color. This process releases the natural sugars in the onions, adding a subtle sweetness that beautifully complements the spices in the chicken. As the onions caramelized, turn your attention back to the chicken. Once it's thoroughly cooked, remove it from the pot. But don't throw away the broth. It's a flavorful base for the sauce that we'll create later on. Now let the chicken cool. Once it's cool enough to handle, shred the meat off the bones. Try to get as much meat as possible because this will be the main filling in our Besetila. Remember, patience is key here. Good cooking often takes time, and it's the slow infusion of flavors that makes dishes like Besetila truly special. Once the chicken is cooked and the broth is prepared, set it aside to cool. We're not done yet, but we're one step closer to creating a delicious traditional Moroccan Besetila. Stay tuned for the next step where we will be preparing the filling. While the chicken cools, let's prepare the filling for our Besetila. Our filling is a harmonious blend of sweetness and spice, a delightful mix of rich chicken, fragrant almonds, creamy eggs, sweet sugar, and aromatic cinnamon. It's the heart of our Besetila, the element that brings it all together. Firstly, we'll need to shred our cooled chicken. You'll want to break it down into smaller pieces, but not too small. Think bite-sized, something that gives a satisfying mouthful without overpowering the other elements. Next, let's move on to our almonds. Roasted almonds work best here as they add an extra layer of depth to the flavor profile. We're going to chop these up into fine pieces. Not quite a powder, but close. This will give our filling a nice crunch that contrasts beautifully with the soft, flaky pastry. Now let's crack open some eggs. We'll need to beat these until they're light and frothy. This will give our filling a delightful creaminess that pairs wonderfully with the richness of the chicken and the sweetness of the sugar. Speaking of sugar, we'll add this next, along with the cinnamon. The sugar will balance out the savory notes of the chicken and the almonds, while the cinnamon will add a touch of warmth and spice. The key here is balance. You don't want the sweetness or the spice to overpower the other flavors. Once all our ingredients are prepared, we'll combine them in a bowl. Mix them gently, allowing each ingredient to mingle and marry with the others. The goal is not to have one dominant flavor, but a symphony of tastes and textures that work together in perfect harmony. Remember, the consistency here is key. We're aiming for a filling that's moist but not wet, sweet but not cloying, spicy but not overpowering. It's a delicate balance, but when you get it right, it's nothing short of culinary magic. With the filling ready, we are one step closer to assembling our Besetila. And believe me, that's when the real fun begins. So stay tuned, and let's continue this culinary journey together. Now comes the fun part, assembling the Besetila. The moment we've been working towards is finally here. A beautiful blend of Moroccan flavors, nestled within a delicate flaky phyllo pastry, the Besetila is a culinary masterpiece that will transport your senses straight to the heart of Marrakesh. So let's get started. First off, let's talk phyllo pastry. It's thin, it's delicate, and it's the perfect vessel for our savory filling. You'll want to handle it with care to avoid any tears or breakages. Remember, we've prepared enough filling for several layers, so don't skimp on it. Lay out your first sheet of phyllo on a clean, flat surface. Now take a generous scoop of the filling we prepared earlier and spread it evenly over the phyllo. This is where the magic starts to happen. As you layer the filling and the pastry, you're building up the rich, complex flavors that make Besetila so special. Next, layer another sheet of phyllo over the filling. Keep repeating the process until you've used up all the filling. The goal here is to create a multi-layered pie, with each layer contributing to the overall taste and texture of the dish. Once you've layered all your filling and phyllo, fold the edges of the phyllo sheets inwards to seal the Besetila. This step is crucial. It locks in the flavors and ensures the filling stays put while baking. You might find it helpful to use a bit of water or beaten egg to help seal the edges. Now take a moment to admire your handiwork. You've assembled a Besetila, a traditional Moroccan dish that's as delightful to look at as it is to eat. But we're not done yet. The final touch is to brush the top of your Besetila with a bit of melted butter. This will give it a beautiful golden brown finish once baked. With our Besetila assembled, it's time for the final step, baking. The final step in our culinary adventure is baking the Besetila. This is where all the magic happens, where all our efforts come to fruition, and where the flavors meld together to create that distinctive Besetila taste. To get the perfect bake, we first need to preheat our oven. This step is crucial, as it ensures that the Besetila will start cooking immediately once it hits the oven. Preheating the oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit is ideal for our Besetila. While our oven is getting ready, let's take a moment to appreciate the artistry of our assembled Besetila. The layers of pastry, the filling, the spices, everything coming together in perfect harmony. But we're not quite there yet. The real transformation happens in the oven. Once the oven is preheated, place the Besetila in the middle rack. This position allows for even heat distribution, ensuring that our Besetila will cook evenly and come out perfectly golden brown. Bake it for about 45 minutes to an hour. Keep an eye on it though. Every oven is different, and the cooking time may vary. While our Besetila is baking, let's talk about serving. To truly enjoy the flavors of Besetila, it's best to serve it hot, right out of the oven. But be careful, it's going to be piping hot. When serving, cut the Besetila into wedges, just like a pie. This way, each piece gets a bit of every layer, and everyone gets to enjoy the full flavor profile. Accompany it with a side of fresh salad or a bowl of soup for a complete meal. And there you have it, a delectable traditional Moroccan Besetila, ready to impress your guests or to treat yourself. The rich flavors, the flaky pastry, the aromatic spices, all coming together in one grand finale. The satisfaction of seeing your creation come out of the oven, perfectly baked and deliciously fragrant, is simply unbeatable. Enjoy your culinary masterpiece, and remember, every bite tells a story of tradition, effort, and love. Let's quickly recap the steps we took to make our Besetila. We started by gathering our ingredients, then moved on to preparing the chicken. Next, we crafted the filling with care, before assembling the Besetila itself. A spell in the oven and voila, a traditional Moroccan Besetila was ready to be served. With this recipe, you can now bring a taste of Morocco right into your kitchen. Enjoy your meal, or as they say in Morocco, Bismillah.